welcome to everyone joining us for this very interesting edition of Charting the Way in conjunction with AIAC's Diversity in Arbitration Week 2021. My name is Michelle Sunita Kummar, and I serve as Head of Legal at the AIAC. Joining me from London is Tope Adeyemi of 33 Bedford Row, and from Paris, Dr. Afif Ben Mansour, Independent Counsel and Arbitrator of Affef Ben Mansour. The AIAC's Diversity in Arbitration Week 2021 is the AIAC's second edition since its inaugural feature in 2020. This episode is hosted with ArbitralWomen to celebrate the strength and diversity showcased by women in the industry. Afif, you have such an accomplished and inspiring career with so many accolades. It truly is an honor to have you share your story with us. It's easy to see how an interest in public international law may have drawn you towards a focused practice in international investment and commercial arbitration. Could you tell us more about this journey and what inspired you to pursue a career in arbitration? And how would you describe your journey to date?
Thank you very much, Michelle. And to answer your question, I don't think that there is only one path to a career, and I didn't build it this way. I followed many different roads, and here I am today. But if you asked me this question when I was 20 years old, what will you be doing in the next 20 years? Probably at the time I was just focusing on public international law and interstate dispute, and my dream was to go and advocate for states before the International Court of Justice and or work for the United Nations. But this what led me to prepare a PhD on public international law. And when I was preparing and doing my research, and I had this in mind, I want to be an attorney. I still want to be an attorney. So I searched for a training, an internship in a law firm, and surprisingly, I just sent my CV just saying I'm searching for an internship just to know how it is to work in a law firm. And they called me, and I spent with them 6 months doing investment arbitration. I was not involved as an associate in the case, but my job was to do legal research on PIL issues, public international law issues. And then I realized that I can do public international law work on a different on different cases than only interstate cases, and it was the beginning, or let's say, of investment arbitration. And so I realized that there was a place for me in law firms. So I went back to my PhD, finalized my thesis, got my thesis, and directly went to the bar school to obtain my Paris bar exam. And during that Paris bar exam preparation, we had to spend 6 months in a law firm as a trainee. So I applied to other law firms in Paris just to see how it is to work with other lawyers. And I was really lucky, because as I was invited as an intern in 2 law firms in Paris, and I had the chance to work on investment arbitration mostly, but in some also construction cases, other arbitration cases. So I learned during those training that arbitration is just a mean to solve and settle disputes, and you can apply it in different fields of law. So I wanted to apply it in the field that I know, which is public international law. So I focused to find a position in a law firm where I will be doing mostly investment arbitration. But at the same time, I was already aware that arbitration can be applied to other kind of litigation, of dispute, commercial, construction, and post M&A, etc. So it wasn't only for public international law. So I learned all the skills and the technical aspects of handling an arbitration proceeding. And when I was totally confident in how to use it, then I wanted to apply it to other litigation, to other disputes, sorry. Why only investment arbitration? In particular, in this field, it's quite frustrating because investment arbitration is a long proceeding. So you start today, you will win in 5 years. So it's a long journey to get. In commercial arbitration, you can win your case in 1 year, sometimes in 6 months, you don't know, so you have more victories. In the law firm, when I started, the department between commercial arbitration and investment arbitration were totally splitted. We had the public international law department doing investment arbitration and the litigation department doing commercial arbitration. So we could not work in each department. And that the litigation department, they were having more celebrations about their victories in their cases than we did, because it was a longer journey, it was a longer proceeding. So I wanted to go and work with them also because, I mean, the method was the same. It's true that the substantive law applied. It wasn't about interpretation of treaties. It wasn't about state responsibilities, but it was about French law, Egyptian law, or whatever, domestic law that I was also working on and applying in the cases I was involved in investment arbitration. So, and I discovered that international arbitration was becoming a sort of a sole independent field of work. You're not just, you have litigators and arbitration specialists, in a way, even if I don't like this idea, because I think that you need just to be a good lawyer and an attorney in litigation, arbitration, mediation, conciliation, and then so this is how I came step by step from public international law to the arbitration world, and from public international law to commercial international law and other fields of law.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Arif. I think what has definitely come across, apart from the fact that there are many roads ahead, is that the journey is certainly a continuing one. If it's not going to be long, it's certainly a continuing one. And, the significance of commitment, dedication, and perseverance in this line of work, just going from one field to the next as well.
Following on from that is that you've been involved, Affef, in many complex arbitrations across several continents. What kind of groundwork did you do to set yourself up? And how did you manage to create visibility to represent clients across borders?
Oh, it's a difficult question, I must confess. But I think that probably it is how to adapt. It's adaptability and adaptability to being visible and use all the new means that we have to make people know that you have the skills and you want to do. So I let the people know that I have certain skills that can be useful for their cases, and step by step I was called for those cases, and this is how I was appointed the first time as sole arbitrator. The other thing is I explain to people and I try to show them that I'm a hard worker, that I am impartial, independent, and those are skills that you need to show to people that they can trust you. I try to do it by participating in conferences, being a speaker, and showing that when I'm introducing an argument or something, a point of view in conference is still objective. I'm showing all the different aspects of a topic and not only one one side, and that I'm open to exchange, and I know how to listen, to learn how to use all the means that we have today, LinkedIn and Instagram, all those skills that will add for visibility, and do not hesitate to knock at doors, to ask for advices, also to travel, to take every opportunity to make yourself visible in the field where you want to work. Otherwise, it's difficult for people to know and find you. So you have to create the opportunity.
Yes, and I think, you know, what's kind of come out from what you've said is to really make people know that you do want to do this work, and to demonstrate through your interactions with them that you have the competence to do that. And that's where people need to have confidence in themselves, because you have a lot of people who are very highly trained and skilled, but they perhaps are a little bit reluctant to put themselves out there. They don't think they're ready, or they think maybe I need to do this before I can do it, or I need to do this. But actually, sometimes you just have to say, yes, I am ready to do this work. I'm able to do it. And then you put yourself out there and, as you say, raise your profile in a variety of different ways that you suggest. And I completely agree. Are there any skills or traits that you consider really aided you or distinguished you in your arbitral career?
My skills as a researcher. When you have very difficult questions, very difficult issues in PR, in public international law, or other fields, there are many ways to reach and to find an answer, or to propose something, a solution. And probably this helped me, is that I don't stop just because, and you have to learn it. Okay, it's something that you don't have this in you. I was taught how to search and how to continue, despite the fact that at the library they don't have that book, they don't have this, or you don't have a case law. Okay, I don't have a case law here. Let's try with Italy. And this I learned it when I was doing my PhD, is to take the phone and also call other people from around the world to try to find something that will help my client and that will help the argument. So perseverance is something, and being creative, and to be open to learn.
Another word that we could use, quite apart from perseverance, is really the persistence and just being proactive. Because you mentioned you just don't stop at a particular place. You keep poking and prodding, and until you're fully satisfied that you've got the answer that you need. And this is, I think, something that a lot of budding practitioners, your young budding arbitrators, need to emulate. Because, as an arbitral institution, we receive many inquiries about what it takes to secure that coveted first appointment. So I guess, we've kind of heard about, the skills, the challenges that you've had to encounter in your journey thus far. But how did you go about securing your first appointment as an arbitrator, and what did you learn from this experience? How did you, apply this amazing skill set that you've got into securing this first appointment?
And then I didn't get it. They came to me.
Hey, that's how you wanted it.
Exactly. I mean, the thing is, it is all the visibility work, and letting people know that I'm interested. And one day I received a call from someone from the ICC saying, we have really small cases, and we're looking for a sole arbitrator, and your profile came up, and we will be interested to appoint you. Are you interested? Still interested? And I said, yes, but give me some information. So it is in English, and it's French law. So, and it's a really small case. So, and they gave me the nationality, and I said, yes, let's go. And this is how I got appointed for the first time. And then, because with my experience, then I was thinking that the second appointment is the hardest, because the first one can be, I mean, just the result of work and letting people know. And sometimes, I mean, it's, sometimes people didn't do anything to get that first appointment. But the second one is more because you have the experience now, you know how to do it, you're under your first award, and you feel more confident, because at the beginning it's just like, okay, will I do the best on this? And I was happy to receive some support from my partner at the time, who, you know, I'm happy for you. The conflict check is clear, so go ahead and try not to have your award set aside. So this was his advice. Jean-Yves Garot, who was the partner at the litigation department of the law firm I was working at the time. This is what he told me, and I still remember this, and I'm using this every time I'm looking to an award. Is make the good decision, apply the law, etc., and make sure that everything in your award cannot be the source of insect aside of your of the award you're rendering. And but for me, it was more the second appointment who was the more difficult, because then you can say that, yeah, I have sat as an arbitrator, and you're still doing visibility work, and you're called and you're shortlisted, and once again shortlisted, but not appointed. And you are listed in different panels around the world, panels of arbitrator, and it doesn't come. So you have to continue your work, and to get those appointments. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be a goal. It's something that you can do, and they will call you. I mean, it's difficult. I know that today we have a lot of our colleagues who are doing only this, and they opened boutique for arbitrator. I mean, I'm an independent arbitrator. But those persons, they had a long journey as counsel, and they have the experience. And when they open that boutique, it is because they have so many conflict of interest in the law firm they were working, and they had so many appointment as arbitrator. So that's why they now doing this 100% of the time. But for young people, and I mean, let's say when you are 30, 35, and in the beginning of your 40, you need to be both, and you need to be counsel and arbitrator, because being a counsel will help you to be a good arbitrator. It is your experience as counsel that will help you to become a good arbitrator. I think, yeah, you become a good arbitrator by experience and by having been in the past a good counsel. So
actually, that's a pretty fresh take. I like how you you actually pinpointed the fact that it's actually your second appointment, which is a little more tougher to secure than it is your first appointment. But what needs to be consistent rather is your efforts into visibility, but also maintaining that quality so that you always get that reference in.
And moving on to this issue of diversity, gender diversity in arbitration has received a lot of attention in recent years, and some say that statistically the situation has improved. But I don't know, do you feel that the situation has improved, and to what extent has the arbitration community evolved from being what was perceived to be quite a male-dominated community?
Yeah, diversity is a big issue, and not only gender diversity in international arbitration. And I think in a lot of other fields, but as we are in international arbitration, let's talk about this field. In my view, things have evolved for sure, and for my generation, things were already very positive because, for example, I have been working with a lot of very talented women who are partner in their law firms and leading counsel in the cases I have been involved in. And the majority of the associate or members of my team were women. So I have the examples. And if I can also say something which is very personal, but I remember, I mean, it's important to say that even in 2008, I was recruited as a trainee in one of those law firms in Paris while I was pregnant. And after my interview with them, 2 days later, I was at the hospital giving birth. So just imagine, I was a very, very big balloon coming to the interview. And they were happy to take me as a trainee 2 months after giving birth. So I remember coming back from the hospital and having this message on my phone saying, "Yeah, Affef, if you're fine, we will be happy to have you among us in June." And I was like, "Wow, this is extraordinary," because it's not the same sound of I heard from my other friends and colleagues. So you go to an interview with, pregnant 2 days before giving birth, and you are hired. And I wasn't discouraged by myself, by my bias that if I go to the interview, no one is going to hire me because I'm pregnant. No, I went. I went even if I was really, really pregnant and not in the beginning of that journey. And they took me. They wanted me because of my skills, and they didn't take into account the fact that during my training, I will have a very, very young baby to take care. And they didn't ask me questions. And this was also important for me, is that I didn't have question about my condition. I didn't have question during that interview about how am I going to do with my baby. They trust me. The fact that I was with them that day, that this personal questions on how I was going to handle this in the next weeks or the next month when I will be with them wasn't their business. And they didn't put me in a position to explain that I will dedicate myself to work and I will have a nanny or etc. But this said, we know a lot of other people, other colleagues who didn't have this luck to have with them and around them supporting colleagues or people who won't react the same seeing them pregnant during their career. And at the same time, in international arbitration, depending on the region, you see this in conferences, for example. I mean, if we cannot secure for a webinar, for a conference, to have at least one woman sitting on for the conference, then we have a diversity issue. So this is still problematic, and we still, as ArbitralWomen, we receive invitation to sponsor events, and we are still receiving some requests with only male sitting for the conference. Hey, the world is full of male and women who have the skills to speak. And in particular today, with this pandemic, we are organizing mostly webinars. So you don't need to have only people in your place. And you can find people, and you can use all the tools that we have today to identify other profiles. ArbitralWomen directory. I saw also the ERA pledge for diversity in arbitration, who proposed a list of directories identifying different profiles, and not only women, but also talented practitioners from Asia, Africa, Latin America, Eastern Europe, Northern Europe. So we have to use those tools to change the statistic, which is still dominated by male. And we have an increase in the number, but I mean, we didn't reach the time where I hope that one day we won't need those pledges and those special events for diversity and to call for diversity. And we are far from that moment, unfortunately.
Thank you, Affef, for sharing that very personal story. And so, just to consider that interplay between, the interview and how you were thinking about what you were thinking about at that time. Do you actually believe there are presently sufficient efforts to enhance the participation and attrition of women in international arbitration? Or do you think more needs to be done at this stage?
I think that you have the answer by the fact that I'm still involved in the board of ArbitralWomen, which is giving us a lot of work. And the decision who made me renew my application to be a board member of this organization is because that there is still a lot of things to do in this field, and we have to work to make women more visible. Expert arbitrators, counsels, in-house counsel, that they are talented and they can also do the work, and we need to cut the bias that sometimes we can have or our clients have of it will be better done by a man. We still need to do work on this, and that's why we are working, for example, with the mentorship program at ArbitralWomen, which is a very important program, and you all women who want to participate as mentor, because we need to show that women can do it, and it is by showing that other women are going to be inspired and will will face the hurdles and the challenges with more confidence.
Apart from that kind of mentoring and that visibility, which is important, are there any other kind of things that you think the arbitral community can do towards enhancing and encouraging gender diversity in arbitral tribunals?
Make sure that in every list you propose to your client or to the arbitrator for the appointment of the chair, that you have at least, you have 50% of the list women and the other one male. And in those male and female, make sure that you have all the world represented when it is possible, and depending on the case. The choice of the arbitrator will first depend on the case and the skills needed for that case. But if you make the effort to search for the for different profile coming from all over the world, and you can identify different women and men to put in that list, and then you let the client decide, and step by step we will change things. And sometimes why not try just 100% women list of arbitrator proposed to the client, or also to the co-arbitrator, just to make sure that it will be it will be a woman. And I just want to clarify, not a woman just for being a woman. No, it's a skilled woman to take that position, because we all have this is the first criteria for sure, is the nationality, the language, and the skills, and the independence, the impartiality, and all those skills. That if you propose, the more you will propose women, the more we will have women sitting as arbitrator, as expert, and also as lead counsel in cases. So, and the other thing is that I want to add is solidarity between women. I have been interviewing a lot of women since I'm in the board the ArbitralWomen board, and in charge. I mean, among the team of talented people in charge of the newsletter, and I'm taking care of the interview. So I have interviewed and read a lot of interviews of a lot of talented women in the world, and a lot of them, even they have different views on gender, and their career were different from another, but they have this in common. It's talking about the lack of solidarity in the 90s and the beginning of this century, lack of solidarity between women. I mean, it is for women to appoint women. If we start this way, if the women list and include their peers in the list, things will change. Don't wait for others to put names of your colleagues. Go ahead and recommend your own colleague. And the same with other kind of diversity. If you are in Africa, if you help or recommend the people with the same nationality as you are, they will do the same for you. And if they are recognized in the field of arbitration as good arbitrator because of their background, because coming from those universities that are in Africa, so you will help yourself and help them also. And you will show that we have good universities in Africa where people are well trained. You don't need to go to New York or to Paris to get a degree to be a good lawyer. We have very, very good university in other parts of the world, and people trained there are totally skilled and have the ability and are very talented and can do also the job. And they can do the job for arbitration in their own region also.
In terms of young female professionals who are seeking to establish themselves in international arbitration, what advice would you give them? You know, those, and it might be different advice for somebody that's in Europe, and it might be and different advice to somebody that's in Africa. But what advice would you give them?
And if they are still students for the moment, I will recommend to participate to moots, all moots that are organized around the world. You have investment arbitration moots, you have mediation moots, you have commercial arbitration moots, and we have this chance to have so many propositions around the world that you can participate to any of them, and this will help you first to learn. And it is really important as a student, when you participate in a moot, you learn to be a professional, and you learn skills, and you get skills that are different from those who you receive as a student. So this is the first step, and that participation will help you to get visibility, because you are going to be judged by professionals who can identify you as their future associate, or at least you can meet them and ask them questions. So it is a way also to get access to other people and professionals that you cannot meet in your own city or in your own universities, because they don't come to lecture there. So this is my first advice. The other one is just to come back to what I think arbitration is, which is only a tool to settle dispute. So you have to keep in mind that arbitration is only a technique of dispute resolution, and you have to work on your substantial knowledge of the applicable law to the dispute. So you have to really focus to get a solid set of skills and knowledge of your domestic law and other domestic laws, and construction law, for example, finance, like you, Tope, and this is the first step. So it's not only about just arbitration and know how to construct a terms of reference or how to do document production, etc. Those are means, and to do the process. And it's true, you have to learn them. But the most important, the real basis is your legal skills and your knowledge of, and your, I'm searching my word, but how you master in the substance of law.
Well, I guess before we wrap up the session, just want to say it's been such a privilege to have this chat with you, Afif and Tope. It's truly remarkable and insightful for me to just hear the both of you talk about things. And of course, I think you agree with me that diversity is a conversation that needs to be more prevalent and constant. What I would like to hear from the both of you is what your thoughts are on initiatives such as the AIAC's Diversity in Arbitration Week. Now, Affef, you've mentioned quite a bit about, encouraging participation in moots, and the AIAC actually has annually its AIAC pre-moots. So, how do you think initiatives such as these go further in promoting gender diversity in international arbitration?
Tope, I leave the floor for you.
Oh, okay. I personally think they're great. One of the things that we've discussed is the opportunity for individuals who are interested in entering the profession and progressing in arbitration, those tools and these kind of sessions and discussions enable them to have an insight, and they can learn and they can see what they can apply to their own situation. So from an information perspective, I think it's invaluable. And then, we spoke about people being proactive, but you might have an individual who only knows me, and he thinks, what can I do? And when they participate in these diversity weeks with an open mind, and they can learn a lot. And I say they, it's everybody. So just from the perspective of sharing information and generating ideas and talking about best practice and seeing what we can do, it's invaluable in my view, and very interesting. And I think it's a great initiative.
Thanks for that, Tope. Affef, do you have anything to add?
Oh, nothing. She said everything, and I think that the fact that I'm participating to it says already a lot about what I think about this this initiative, which is very good. And I look forward to look to the videos of the other colleagues and what they shared with you. And thank you very much for the invitation.
Very much to both of you for being a part of this very important initiative of ours. So thanks very much.